Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So I thought it'd be fun to do a video talking about 3 games that I still play that kind of are bad, or they suck. Now, there's a lot of great games. There's a lot of reasons why we play games to begin with. And oftentimes we choose games that are fun or challenging, games that we just like. Great games out. There's a ton of great games out there. But sometimes we get caught up wanting to play bad games too. And I don't mean necessarily bad as in the whole thing is garbage, but it's just games that have little problems here or there, or you wish it was better, but it's not, but you still play them. I also reached out to my good friend Mike from Mike's Gaming Gala, and I asked him to also provide 3 of his games. So after I'm done mine, I'll go over to his video too. So anyways, let's get to the first game. Now I thought this was going to be an easy topic, and it really was a head scratcher. I mean, there's a lot of great games, there's a lot of bad games, but which ones would I actually still go and put back into, my rotation of games I want to play? So the first one I thought about was for the Atari 2600, and that is Miner 2049er. Now that's a strange choice because Miner 2049er is a great game. I mean, I love playing it on the Commodore 64 when I was a kid. I played it all the time. I still play it on the Commodore 64. It's got ports on all the other systems. The one that's for the Intellivision, I still need to get... it's actually available now from Intellivision Collector. You can download it as a ROM. But, yeah, I still need to get that one for the Intellivision. But this is the Atari 2600 version. And I've played this a few times on my channel. And every time I go to put it in my Atari, I think to myself, why am I doing this to myself? Because this game has its issues. Now, there is 2 of them. I mean, there's Volume 1 and Volume 2. Essentially the same game. It's just they had to break it up into 2 cartridges because, space and all that other stuff. But the real problem with this game is he moves so slow. And trying to get through the level is agonizing because it's a time-based game. You got to get through the level as fast as possible. But he moves like he's wearing 300-pound boots or something. I don't know if this is something that's ever been fixed, like, someone hacked it and made it faster. I don't know what the reasoning is, why he's so slow in this version. I don't know. The game is just hard for me. And, I try and get through it. Both of them, I mean, it's the same game, like I said. I try and get through it, but it nags at me that I want to play it. I feel like it's got to be a fun game, but it drives me nuts. The second choice, I don't have a cartridge or something to show, is RoboCop for the Commodore 64. Now this game is not bad in a sense that it looks awful or anything like that. I mean, it plays okay. It has a lot of problems. Like, you get killed so easily just from a few little shots. I mean, it's supposed to be RoboCop. The guy can walk through like a hail of gunfire and it just bounces off his titanium. But in the game, he just seems to die every 5 seconds. And to top that off, on level 3, I think it is, the Cocaine Factory, they do not give you enough time to complete that level. It's almost impossible. And I think it's maybe a bug or just bad programming, whatever, I don't know. But you cannot get through that level unless you cheat. And there is kind of a way to cheat. There's a way to kind of make RoboCop go through a wall. I mean, me and my friend, we figured it out he had it on his Commodore 64 when we played it. Yeah, I don't know. The game, I wanted to play it because it's RoboCop. I love RoboCop. I love the arcade game at the time. Even the Nintendo one is okay. But the Commodore 64, but I still love putting it in and playing it for some reason. And the third choice, and if you know me, you know my channel, this is probably no surprise to you, Donkey Kong for the Intellivision. This was the game that I loved when I was a kid. I mean, I grew up with it. It was my Donkey Kong. I didn't have Donkey Kong on anything else until, the Commodore 64 version that I got, which has its own problems, and, I still play that one too. But this one is mostly for the nostalgia. I mean, everybody who knows about this game knows it's not that great. It's got its issues. It's if you want to see it, but Donkey Kong doesn't look right. A lot of issues. Now there is DK Arcade that came out from Electronite. and D2K, and they fixed all the problems. Carl Mueller Jr. did a great job programming in that game. But the original 2 screens, Mario looks like Charlie Brown. Donkey Kong just looks like a pile of sludge. It's awful. And we don't even know who programmed it. At least I have not been able to find out who programmed this. Coleco had other companies, third-party companies, program their games for the opposing systems. So who knows? It could have been anybody who just didn't even know the game. But yeah, so those are my 3 picks. So let's move over to Mike's Gaming Gala. And like I said, he picked one that I originally had in my list. To see if you could figure it out, which one.
Hey Brian, thanks for having me on your show to talk about 3 bad games that I like and still play today. So my first is Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo. A lot of people really pan on this game, and I'm not sure why. Admittedly, when I was a kid, my friend had a Genesis and he had Jurassic Park on the Genesis, and the graphics in that were amazing. It had that cinematic opening and it really gave you that feeling of Jurassic Park. But this game is way better. I played it a lot when I was younger, and now that I'm older, if you gave me the opportunity to play Jurassic Park on the Genesis or Jurassic Park on the Super Nintendo, I would pick this every day of the week. Especially when you get into the 3D areas of it, the atmosphere is incredible. My brothers and I used to draw maps on graph paper, and looking back at the Genesis version, the gameplay isn't that great. It's a little sticky sometimes, and even if the graphics in this one are pretty cartoony in comparison, the game itself is actually really, really good. I like this game a lot. My number 2 is Back to the Future on the NES. Now, for the longest time, I didn't own this when I was a kid, but we rented it over and over and over again. And my brothers and I would play it, and despite the monotonous music, and despite the, simple gameplay, we liked it a lot. You've got kind of very Atari-style arcade gameplay. I was an Atari kid, so that didn't bother me at all. The Lou's Cafe section is like you're playing Tapper. When you're in Hill Valley High, you got to block Lorraine's kisses. And then in between that, you've got all these levels where you're just trying to get to the end of that section, collect the clocks before the timer runs out. And it's very simple arcade play, and we played it a lot, and we liked it a lot. I don't really get all the hate for this. Yes, it's a bit monotonous. Yes, when you die at a certain level, you get thrown back probably further than you should. But we played it a lot. I still play this game sometimes. I like it. That's my number 2. My number 3, and okay, there's a few people I know that may be watching that are going to be very disappointed in me, but Pac-Man for the Atari 2600. I know, boo, but Pac-Man, this was the first version of Pac-Man I ever played. And I can understand if you're a Pac-Man purist, the maze is the wrong color, it's not the right maze, the ghosts aren't the proper colors, Pac-Man doesn't move up and down, there's not as many dots. But if this thing was named anything other than Pac-Man, if it was named like Pellet Muncher or, Gobbler, Mr. Gobbler, this would have gotten a pass. They should have made an 8K version of this, and the fact that it's on the 4K cartridge gives you that flicker, and I don't like that flicker. But it does the thing. You're a character moving around a maze, avoiding ghosts, picking up pellets, and in the corners you've got these pellets that make it so you can eat the ghosts. I like it. I still play it. Admittedly, it is not the greatest port in the world. In fact, it's a very bad port, but it's not a bad game. So if you've got nostalgia for this, if you were a big Pac-Man arcade guy, you probably hate me for having this on my list, but I like this game. Like I said, it was the first version of Pac-Man I ever played. I played it a lot. There are homebrews now that are better than this, but I still plug this in every now and then. So, not that bad. I think people need to calm down a little on this whole Pac-Man is worse than E.T., Pac-Man's the worst. It's not that bad a game, guys. So that's my 3. Thanks again for having me on the show. And guys, when you're done watching all of Brian's videos and liking and commenting, come on over to Mike's Gaming Gala and do the same for me. So thanks, and back to you, Brian.
Okay, thanks, Mike, for your choices. And if you haven't guessed right now, it was Back to the Future. That was on my list for the Nintendo. And I agree with a lot of what he said. I mean, the game, it's got its issues. But for whatever reason, I like playing it. I rented it all the time. Even though I knew it was a bad game, I ended up buying it. I still put it in. I still play it on my emulator. So that was a great choice from Mike because it was also on my list. Actually, I think it was the first game I chose on my list. But so thanks for the challenge, Mike, there. Anyways, yeah, those are our 3 favorite crap games. I'd like to hear what you have to say. What are your 3 games that you play? It could be from any system that you play that are really not that great. I mean, there's just a lot of bad games out there, and people still got to play them, right? I mean, I think people still have to play them. Anyways, let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. Hope you subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.